on Pontus Auburn. Puck stays in. Forsberg with a shot. Murray's got it. No, he doesn't, but the whistle had gone. The puck came loose, was poked in the net, but even in this building, you could hear the whistle went when the puck was outside of the crease.
And what a bad break for the Nashville Predators. Kevin Paul.
Of bullshit. High-quality bullshit. World-class designer bullshit, to be sure. Hospital-tested, clinically proven bullshit. But bullshit nonetheless.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 19th episode of the Drive Podcast. I am Kyle Fry, joined by Jared Paolo. And today, it's almost a little bit of the same as we did last week, Jared. We got prospect stuff to talk about with the Sixers. We got a piece that you did on madeforphilly.org about possible first round draft possibilities for the Phillies. And we got some Flyers things to talk about, Shane Goss' Bears extension, Oscar Lindblom's...
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
Shane Goss is very extended.
Hextall finally fucking did it.
Yep. It's a great deal, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah. But according to some people, he was bad last year, so it obviously is not a good deal then.
Yeah. Really bad, actually. I just changed my mind, actually, within those 30 seconds.
If that.
Yeah.
We got some Stanley Cup Finals stuff to talk about too. Fuck the Penguins. And some NBA Finals stuff too as well. Fucking NBA playoffs, man. Like, what?
Cavs in 7.
I mean,
it's possible.
It's LeBron. He can do anything.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Like, I'll get to my philosophy when we start talking about it a little bit, but...
Cavs in 7.
Cavs in 7, yeah.
So, before we get into that, let's just jump right into it. Flyers. Oscar Lindblom signed, which is a move that basically everyone was calling for since the offseason began. Ever since the season ended, he said that he wanted to come here. Hextall said that he wanted him here, and he's here. It's just a standard entry-level contract, so he most likely makes a team this coming season. I don't think that there's a way that he doesn't. He's too good. Just pretty much a basic signing. Like, we knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah, and it's like we've talked about, you know, his skills and the numbers he put up over in the SHL in the past 2 years, on Brynäs, and you know, really, he's not gonna, you know, make the team worse. Like, he's going to improve the team. More likely than not, would you think he'll probably be on one of the bottom two lines, probably the third line to start out, just to kind of see how
that's what
he
I would
acclimates
assume.
to the league.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
In the
and obviously our bottom two lines were
bad.
Our biggest weakness last year. So yeah.
I mean, in the projections that I did, I think that was like 2 episodes ago that I mentioned that, where I talked about the 3 projections that I had, basically for how the team is going to look next year. Lindblom was on the third line with Coots and Shen, just because I think that's going to be a ridiculous line, especially with how Shen can play physical sometimes. Lindblom will definitely play physical. Coots can as well, and we know how Sean Couturier plays. He's a shutdown defender. So that's a line that I would imagine he gets put on once the season starts, if he does make the team. I don't think he's going to be a top 6 guy, just because I think that they kind of want Wheel and Konechny to be those guys. Mm-hmm. But again, if he makes a team, he's definitely on the third line at least. Like, I don't think you put him on the fourth line unless some crazy stuff happens with the expansion draft. But I imagine he's going to be a third line winger.
Yeah, speaking of Jordan Wheel, has he signed with us yet? Is he under contract for next year?
He is an RFA, so he.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing is, though, with how the expansion is going to work, Vegas can negotiate with him, I believe, in the certain amount of time. It's like a few days before the list gets sent in by all NHL teams. So he But I don't think that Vegas would try to sign him then because they could just take him. Like, there's no reason why they would. I don't think the Flyers. They could protect him, and I don't think that it's necessarily crazy for them to do it, but also there's Michael Raffle, and there's Matt Reed, and there's just... I don't think they're going to protect Reed. I hope they don't, but it's... I don't... Wheel is a guy that I think they want to bring back, but I'm not sure that they're going to throw like $5 million at. They're definitely not going to throw $5 million at him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they do value him, and I think that they do want him back. He proved that he belongs on this team last year. At least that's what we like to think. I hope that wasn't just a flash in a pan, and it wasn't just, he was good for a few games and it was just a lucky stretch. Like, I think he's a really good player, and the metrics back it up. He was the best play driver on the team in his amount of games. He was ahead of Couturier, who was the best play driver. And I always would never count Wheel just because of how little games he played, but he was the best play driver on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's like, if he is on, like you said, if he's in the top 6, Wheel, then that obviously shows that they, meaning like the Flyers, obviously coaching staff, front office, they think that last year wasn't some sort of fluke thing. And personally, I don't think it was either, because you watched just like how, like you said, how he was just driving plays, and he only played in 23 games. He only had 12 points. A lot of those came in chunks toward the end when he started playing, because he started heating up like right at the end of the season, pretty much.
Well, yeah, and they put him with Drew and Simmons. I'm pretty sure was in line for a good solid few weeks or months.
So yeah, like right there, when you're paired with those two guys, you're going to get your scoring opportunities. You're going to get your play creating opportunities and whatnot. And so I think sure, he's not going to be. If you pair him with two guys who aren't going to play up to par and up to what we need them to play at, he might struggle just because that's not like his play style. His play style wouldn't suit guys who, I guess if you want to call it, slack off more often than not. So I think paired with the right guys, he can definitely bring something to this team going forward for sure.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, and a thing that I've kind of been thinking the whole offseason is I don't want them to go into the season thinking, first line, second line, third line, fourth line. I just want them to just mix and match the lines how that best optimizes the players. Don't give a shit about the stereotypes and the whole, third line needs to be a defensive line, fourth line needs to be a checking line, or whatever bullshit like that. No, I just want solid lines. And you look at the Maple Leafs, I mention them a lot because they are easily the most young and exciting team in the entire league. Their grinder was Matt Martin, and Matt Martin is a grinder, and he's not exactly a very skilled hockey player, but they didn't make the lines where it was third line has to have this specific role, fourth line has to have this specific role. It was just, seeing which players worked well together each and every game. And I just don't want the Flyers to get caught in this, I don't really know how to describe it. It's an old way of pairing your lines. And I think that for Wheel, because I don't think that he would get power play time. There's no way that he gets power play time with the amount of forwards that we have. And the way that their power play is going to be set up, I don't think that he would make it on there. So I think you put him on the top 6, that way you can still get productive minutes out of him, and you're not just wasting his talents. You're not only giving him 10 minutes a game. You're giving him a good solid 15, but it's all 5-on-5, which he really excels at. Mm-hmm. So that's just some thoughts there on just Jordan Wheel and how the lines are going to look. Obviously, big news, Ghost signs for 6 years, $27 million. fucking fantastic deal, and it helps the Flyers now and it helps them in the future because 4.5 for Ghost is a steal if he develops, and there's no reason why he shouldn't. He didn't have the greatest season last year, but he was hampered by injuries basically the entire season.
And he played with Andrew McDonald.
Yeah, not to mention. Like, he played with Amac, Schultz. I think Amac and Schultz were, like, his two main partners. How the fuck do you do that?
Yeah.
So not only that, he was injured for most of the season. You could tell that from day one. Like, I noticed in the first game his skating looked off. Like, he didn't look like the explosive Ghost that we saw all of his rookie season. So you knew that something was going on there. He still put up 39 points. Still a power play specialist. Still going to give you a lot of production there. You know that he's going to develop, and you know he's going to get better. And even if he doesn't, 4.5 is fair value for what he would be. Then he's a top 4 defenseman who's going to be a very good play driver and easily your number 1 defenseman on the power play. It's a fantastic deal, and it's going to give them a lot more flexibility when they have to re-sign Simmons and Provorov and Patrick/Heischer and all these guys. Like, it's such a good deal.
Yeah, it's honestly, like, when I saw the when I saw that he had been re-signed, like when I saw the news that he had been re-signed, I was, obviously I was like really ecstatic because Ghost is a very good player. But then I also saw that like they were keeping the term and the money kind of low key for the moment. And then when I saw, because like when I kind of saw that, I kind of like stepped back for a second. I'm like, oh no, like this could be like not the greatest deal, because why else would the team keep it kind of not hidden, but kind of keep it away from the fans and from the media for longer than they otherwise would or should. And so I'm thinking like, oh no, like the first thing that popped into my head when I saw that they weren't disclosing it yet was just like can this deal go wrong? And then I saw the term and I saw the money and I was just like, what? Like how? Like how do you get Shane Gostisbehere for 6 years, $27 million with an average of $4.5 million? Like I was like super happy with the deal, and like obviously so was 95% of the people that I saw commenting about it were like insanely happy about it. So obviously, I think the Flyers have pleased their fans. Yeah,
for the most part, because you always have the few dipshits that are
like, oh, well,
he sucks.
Only scored 20-something, 30-something points last year. He sucks.
Yeah, he was a minus 21 or something. Yeah, because plus minus matters.
Yeah.
But to go back to his contract, like, earlier this offseason, or no, it was just earlier this season, I think the season was still going on at this point, Nikita Zaitsev for the Leafs signed a 7-year, $4.5 million contract. Like, it was, or 4.5 over the 7 years. So, it's almost the exact same thing. And it's surprising because Zaitsev is a right-handed defenseman, so you would think, oh, you have to factor in like another $1 million or something, or at least $500,000. Nope. So it's the Leafs and the Flyers. Like Hextall probably copied Lou Lamoriello for that exact contract. He's like, hey, do you basically want what Nikita got? And he goes for like, yeah, sure. Why the fuck not? Like, there's no reason why he would turn that down either, because he knows that. For one, I think Ghost likes it here, so I don't think he exactly wants to leave. No. And it's not like he's being ripped off here. Like, it's not, he's getting fair value for what he is. And it's plus, a steal if he gets better. Yeah, and plus, he's aware that he had a down year last year. Oh, for absolutely. Sure. Like, absolutely. So he knows that and it's very likely that if he didn't have that down year last year, we could be talking about probably a $6-ish million average. I would easily. I think that would be a safe bet to be at about a $6 million average. So he knows that down year cost him a little bit. So he's gonna want, to, get revenge. I guess he's gonna want to get revenge on his 2016-17 self, and down the line in. Because I'm sure at the end of a few years he could probably opt out, or they could
work out a new extension if he's like
Yeah.
a premier defensive player in the league. I'm sure they could rework it. So he wants to do that. Like, he wants to, prove to the front office, he wants to prove to the fans that, that last year, 2016-17, was just a fluke year, and that he's going to develop as he showed in 15-16. And I'm sure down the road I'm confident, and I'm sure you're confident, I'm sure a lot of people are confident that down the road we'll be talking about a guy who's going to be making probably more than $6 million average a year if he develops like we all know we probably can and will.
Yeah, exactly. And it's basically what the Flyers did with Couturier. It's what they did with JVR at the time. Like, they gave these guys long-term contracts, but they were still fair value. They kept the cap hit low. But the thing is, even if at 3 years from now, like halfway through his deal, he's matured into the defenseman that I think a lot of people think that he can be, which is a top 2 guy, the Flyers might be winning cups by then. Like, the Flyers might be legitimate cup contenders, and it's like, I don't really need a raise because I'm winning cups. Like, why would I want a raise? Why would I want to cripple the team when I'm winning cups? Like, yeah. I don't think that he's that type of player.
Yeah, just by, like, his charisma and the way he carries himself, he doesn't seem like that type of guy. And I don't know, like, you can't really tell yet because he's still young. He's still only
it's only his second
20s. So, so you don't really know, like, how he'll act, in 2020, 2021 when he's 3 or 4 years into his deal, and he could be making more if he's performing extremely well. But if the Flyers, like you said, are getting to cups, winning cups at that point, you don't know how he'll act, but by what we've seen now and like how he carries himself, how he carries himself in the media and pretty much everywhere, like he doesn't seem like that type of guy that would kind of demand a raise because he's playing super well. He would rather probably win.
Yeah, which they should be in position to do in 3 years from now. Like, they should be a playoff team next year, and I don't really want to get my hopes up that much because it's hockey, and it's the Flyers, and it's a Philadelphia team, but there's no reason why they shouldn't be a playoff team next year. They should be better next year. We'll see what happens, but just as a closing thing on his contract, I don't know why teams do this anymore because it has no effect on their cap hit. He got, like, his contract is front-loaded, so his salary for this season for the coming season is $6 million. Cap hit is 4.5, but his salary is $6 million, and it's that for the 2018-2019 season as well. Then it goes to 5.25, 3.25 then, and it stays that way for 3 years. I just don't understand why he did that. Like, what's the point? Maybe
I
there's some underlying thing.
I could see if this was like a contract that a guy in his late 20s to early 30s was getting, who at the time of signing was still, like high in production, but then, he was projected to kind of, diminish as he was going, so his cap hit would stay the same, but he'd be earning less. Like, I could see if that was the case, but Ghost is, 23, 24 years old. He just finished his second
24.
season. Yeah, he's 24, just finished his second season, and you're gonna say to him, okay, at 27, 28 years old, where you're most likely going to be in your prime at that point, that's when your actual income is going to decrease. Like, that's the only kind of, like you said, that's the only kind of iffy part about it, but like we said before, if by 2019, 2020, 2021, by those 2 seasons, if he's performing at like a top 2 level defenseman, then they could easily rework that contract and he could be making probably more than $6 million a year. Like, he would be making more than he was earning at the beginning of his contract. So, that's like you said, only real kind of part with the contract.
It's weird because, like, the cap hit is what you need to worry about. So it's like you can't even argue like, oh well, it's for budget reasons. Like, it doesn't really matter what your budget is. Like, the Flyers have all the money in the world. They're owned by fucking Comcast. So, it's weird, but still amazing signing, and I'm just glad that we don't really have to worry about him going anywhere. So,
same.
So let's get into some expansion draft things. It is coming very freaking soon, and it is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because this is...
Oh my god, yeah. Like, it just came all of a sudden. I was like, what?
Yeah, like...
Because it seems like we've been talking about it for a while, but it's like, it's still like a month or two away, and then all of a sudden it's like, now it's like 11 days away. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's... So, let me find the tweet that has all the dates in it, but meanwhile, one thing that I didn't realize at first, but I realize now, the Flyers are definitely protecting Andrew McDonald. Like, there's no way that they're not doing it. It's...
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's kind of like a... I don't even know. Like, I guess they kind of... Well, okay, so they don't have to protect... they don't have to protect Konechny, and they don't have to protect Provorov, which is good. Plus, they don't have to protect Lindblom. They don't have to protect Lubomov. They don't have to protect Vecchione. They don't have to protect Hag, Morin, Sanheim. They don't have to protect any of those guys, which is good. So then, what do they have to protect? 2 defensemen, right? Or 3?
You can either do it 2 ways. You can do 8 forward / defensemen, or you can do 7-3-1, which is what a lot of teams are going to do, and it's 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, 1 goalie.
Okay, so presuming that they go 7-3-1, you look at their defensemen and you say, okay, well, Gostisbehere, obviously, Gudas, obviously. So beyond that, it's either Amac, Brandon Manning,
and they're not doing that.
Del Zotto.
And they're not.
Maybe.
You wouldn't protect a free agent, and you wouldn't protect Brandon Manning because you don't even know that Brandon Manning's going to crack your freaking roster next year. So Andrew McDonald is getting protected.
So. It sucks, but it's the only, I guess if you were to call it a logical move, it would be the only logical.
It's basically their only choice. Like, what else? Like, you're not going to protect Michael Del Zotto when you're not even going to re-sign him, and you're not going to protect Schultz because Schultz could very well retire in the next 2 days or whatever. Like, he could retire right now. But
Oh, breaking news! Nick Schultz retired.
You know something's gonna happen right after we do this episode, right?
Oh yeah, he's gonna get released or be retired.
No, they'll fucking trade Reed for a first round pick somehow, and I'll be like, what drugs did Ron Hextall give an NHL GM? But
yeah,
yeah,
something will happen.
Something's definitely gonna happen at some point. There's a lot of things that are going to happen as soon as the Stanley Cup Finals are over. Literally, the second that the Penguins win the Cup, there are going to be, so many freaking transactions or just, rumors that are going to start up, and it's going to be so hard to keep track of, and I'm going to be, glued to Twitter, and I really don't even want to go to work at all, just because I want to be I can't miss anything. I need to see this.
Yeah. That's pretty much me at the end of every World Series. So.
Yeah, pretty much. At the end of every sports off season, except for NBA is kind of whatever because it's just meh.
Well, the NBA, I think the NBA is free agency. They push it off a couple weeks. I don't think you can make any transactions for a couple weeks or whatever after the finals.
Yeah. So I'm trying to look at all the freaking dates, but NHL's website and just my laptop in general are being slow as shit. So, some other things with just I think what the Flyers are going to do, it's basically down to Raffle or Wheel for the last protection spot. There's no way that they protect Reed just because I think that they're trying to trade him, because why wouldn't you try to trade him at this point?
Especially when Lindblom.
Yeah, exactly. Lindblom seems like the guy that they want to come in there and replace him. They wouldn't protect Weiss. They would not protect Belmar. No, they might.
For as much as
they might fucking do that.
Yeah.
But
if they do that, you see the thing with that is the only reason that we say that it's probably a possibility is because they gave him the extension. So,
but also it's Pierre-Edouard Belmar. So
yeah. It's a I don't know. It's something. But then I've also seen a few random theories that Scott Lawton's gonna get taken or something. So
Lawton is such an interesting piece because like, I've given up on him because I just don't think that he fits on this team. He should have been on the fourth line all of last season. Last year should have been his chance to prove that he has a spot on an NHL roster. And Dave Haxtell and Ron Hextall were just kind of like, meh, we'll go with Belmar.
No. Because if he were to have been on that fourth line, even if it was just for a similar time period that Wheel was, or a little bit more than that, like, you know, I'm not as little as Wheel, I guess, because Wheel's only 23 games. I think, because Lawton, he did play a little bit on the Flyers last year.
Yeah, it was like 8 games or something. It was very little.
Yeah, even if he were to have had just like a little bit more than Wheel, a little bit more time than Wheel had, we could have, you know, he could have shown that he's like a viable option moving forward. Plus, he's only 23 years old and a center, so you can never have enough centers because they can always play other places. So, obviously, like I said, if he were to have played last year, then he could have shown, okay, like, you know, I have a place on a roster, and coming this year, he could have been taken instead of or it would have kind of been like a placebo kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, you know, Scott Lawton had a productive, you know, 30, 40 games with the Flyers on the fourth line. You know, let's take him in the expansion draft. The Vegas, obviously. So,
well, and also
definitely missed out on an opportunity there, though. So that kind of sucks. But
it would have been interesting too, because then you could have probably found a trading partner for like a Raffle, or it would have just been made things a lot easier if Lawton had gotten time, I think. But a rumor that I saw, which was that I thought was interesting, was Neuvirth to Vegas might not be that crazy, and I'm trying not to get myself psyched up, but oh my god, please. So,
that'd be
George McPhee, who is the general manager of Vegas, he was with the Capitals when Neuvirth was the goalie there, and he likes Neuvirth. There was a comment where I think McPhee said that basically, like, he's a really sound goalie, like, he's basically that he likes him, which obviously, like, you know, you were a manager there when he was in Washington, so. But I saw a theory that was like, maybe the Flyers just gave him that extension just so Vegas would take him. Like, just they worked out like a deal with Vegas, like, hey, we'll give him, like, does this cap hit sound good for you? Does this contract look good for you that you'll take in the expansion draft? So, hopefully, please, for the love of God, take him.
Yeah. Like, if they're dumb enough...
Yeah. Like, if they're...
Go on ahead.
I don't think that Vegas is dumb, though. That's the thing. Like, I really don't think that they're a dumb team. They've already made some like, the Shipachyov signing was really good.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You see, the only, I think, real chance that he goes to Vegas would be if we ended up, like, trading with them or something. But the only thing is there, like, they don't have anybody to trade, really.
We would be getting a pick back, and I don't think that an expansion team's going to give up a pick. Like, that doesn't make sense for their standpoint. Like,
yeah, it would be, like, and for as little as that makes sense for them, that's probably the best chance that we have that they have at getting.
Or again, that they made a deal, like a quote unquote deal with Vegas before when they made the contract extension in plans for this. But also, you're taking the gamble that Vegas actually takes them, like, because Vegas isn't legally obligated to do any of that. Like, they can just be like, nah, we'll just take whoever the fuck we want because we're allowed to. This is what we get to do. So, the dates, NHL.com finally worked. June 18th. So, very freaking soon.
6 days.
On
6
Sunday.
days when you're listening to this.
Yeah, literally a week from now. The player list gets revealed. So, we get to know who the hell is going to be available for Vegas. And then, during the NHL Awards, which, props to the NHL. Props to the NHL for putting the expansion draft with the award ceremony. You will get the highest ratings for your award show in, like, 20 years. Easily. Easily.
Easily. Mm-hmm.
So, again, props to the NHL. They did something right for once with the marketing. And then, just 2 days later is the NHL draft. Holy shit.
Yep.
Like,
very good marketing by the NHL.
Man, the next 2 weeks are going to be so crazy, and I'm just... I am ready for it. I am ready for this insanity.
Same.
So, I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything else that could really go on. I think Reed's definitely gone. Like, if Reed's on this team come the first game of the season, I'll be shocked. I highly doubt he's on this team. Weiss is... We're probably just stuck with him. I don't think that Vegas will take him or we'll find a trading partner.
Yeah, he's a tough sell.
That was... Hextall made a great signing with Ghost, but... the Weiss contract.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah.
But, who knows? If Weiss can perform like he did with Coots at the end of last year, it might be better.
Yeah, maybe.
So, let's get into the game that's currently going on that...
About to happen.
Yeah, so...
Just about to start.
We are recording this Sunday, so... assuming I get this up tomorrow, it'll be yesterday. So, this most likely goes up on Monday. So, Game 6 is going on right now. Hopefully, when you're listening to this, you're watching like, "Ha! Game 7's coming up!"
You serious?
But I doubt it.
Hopefully.
I doubt it, because the Penguins have the NHL in their back pocket, because Game 5 was the biggest... Like, that was an embarrassment to the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't seen the Sidney Crosby PK Subban play behind the net, then A, where have you been living? And B, that was possibly the dirtiest play that I've seen in a while that wasn't called.
Yeah.
Anything.
Well, it was called.
I mean,
it was a matching
but
penalty.
It was a double. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Called correctly, I should say.
So, like, here's a recap if, again, you've just been, like, in a coma for the past week. Crosby basically, slammed PK Subban's head into the ice a good, like, 5 times, and then Subban put him in a headlock, and they got matching penalties for that. Because a headlock and no punches are the same thing as slamming a player's head into ice.
Yeah, while he's
defenseless,
down,
like he can't even do anything.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because like Sidney, if we keep saying, if you didn't see it, Crosby was pretty much kneeling on Subban's side, so Subban really couldn't get up for a solid 15 seconds or so, if that, about 10-15 seconds, and then as Crosby was kneeling on his side, he repeatedly was just like taking PK's head and just bashing it into the ice repeatedly. Probably did it, like Kyle said, 5, 6, 7 times, and then when PK finally got up and put him in a headlock, then they called matching penalty. So that was
I'm gonna try to find the quote from Crosby about it, because the quote is what pisses me off the most. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so the question was, what happened when you were wrestling? And this is obviously wrestling with Subban. Crosby said he lost his stick. He was doing some UFC move on my foot, so I don't know what he was trying to do. I was trying to get out of there. He had lost his stick. He's just trying to hold me down. I don't know what he was trying to do with my ankle. And then follow-up question was, is that why you hit his head? And he said, yeah, I was in some kind of lock he had going on there. I don't know what it was. Like, Crosby should be a politician. Like, that is the most politician answer I've ever heard in my entire life. I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Have no idea. I was slamming a player's head into the ice, but I don't know what was going on. Are you that fucking ignorant? Like, do you take us for idiots? I know that some of us are, because it's the hockey community, but come on, bro. That's so pathetic. I can't.
You could take some like random dude out of the middle of like a country that does not know what hockey is. Show him that play.
They would think that's a arrestable offense. They think that's
literally. They would probably be like, "Is that man in jail?" That's probably what they would ask you, but.
And the lovely...
No, it was a matching penalty.
And the lovely part is Penguins fans defending it because, well, Crosby's had that done to him in the past. So that makes it okay. Okay, well then fine. Yeah. If someone gets punched in the balls, then I get to just punch them right back and have no repercussions. Like, what
Yeah,
are you...
like don't get me wrong. If that if it was flipped, if PK was doing it to Sidney Crosby, for as
boy.
much as I hate Crosby, for as much as I hate Sidney Crosby, I would would
Yeah.
be pissed that they got that was a matching penalty because it's just not right to do. Like we would be saying the same things about Subban as we were saying about Crosby. The only thing is, since PK Subban is not Sidney Crosby, he would be getting more shit for it. So.
Yeah, because there's an obvious difference between PK Subban and Sidney Crosby, and Mike Milbury is... Mike Milbury was quite obviously pointing that difference out with his explanation. Well, Subban had it coming. If that isn't the most, like, I'm a racist piece of shit comment that I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah. Like, the backlash that would have...
Dude, Subban would have been put in jail.
Out. Oh, yeah. If the backlash that would have came out from people if Subban committed that penalty on Crosby and not the other way around, it would have been... The backlash would have been...
Unbearable.
Insane.
Oh, and then, by the way, he threw a water bottle on the ice during a live play. And didn't get called for it.
Nothing.
And
Yeah,
this in mind. The Penguins were leading 5-0 when he did that. Because apparently there was a missed call, and Crosby was upset about it. Bro, your team is leading 5-0. About to go up 3-2 in the series. 1 win away from your second straight cup. Your third overall. And you're going to throw a water ball on the ice. How? You are supposed to be the NHL's role model. You're supposed to be the superstar. You're supposed to be the
poster boy.
Yeah, the poster boy of the fucking National Hockey League, and you pull that type of shit. Why do you think that no one respects you or your team? Why? Like, I lost any bit of respect for Crosby and the Penguins organization for that play alone. Like, that whole night alone, because that was pathetic.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a shitty situation, not even during the play, but after it, when, so many people came to Crosby's defense. And, obviously that's just shitty as hell because it was the dirtiest play that was not called correctly that I've seen personally. At least that I could think of. That was the dirtiest play that was not called correctly in a while, so...
In my experience of watching hockey,
just,
I can't remember another play like that.
Yeah, I can't, and I'm not even sure it didn't even cross sports. Like,
yeah,
I can't think of anything.
And for a guy like Crosby, who has had so much of his career taken away by concussions, for him to pull something like that, that's...
Yeah, like, he would know that
like,
something like that is really, really serious and really, really detrimental to it could be really, really detrimental to somebody's health.
And, man, like, I saw John Buccigross for ESPN saying, like, oh, it was just like a noogie or something. Like, no! What are you... Did you watch it? He literally was picking his head up and slamming it down on the ice. He would...
Like, repeatedly.
And the ref was just like, huh? Oh goodness! Oh my gosh! That black man is like attempting murder on Sidney Crosby, and everyone's just like, did you just not see what Crosby did? No, oh you didn't? Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah. That's fucking perfect. Yeah. It's a mess. Go Predators! Hope they win tonight. If they don't, well, we get to deal with another off season of Penguins fans being unbearable. So that'll be lovely.
But if they blow a 3-2 lead, then
we might have to have.
You're getting roasted. You're getting roasted.
Nashville, you can come to Philly and have a parade. We will throw a parade for y'all if you freaking come back.
Oh yeah, I think I think I speak for most cities in this situation.
Oh yeah.
I think every city will throw you a parade.
Yeah,
honestly.
Because the Penguins are the Yankees of the NHL, except they're so much worse because they've choked how many times in the playoffs. So. Man, the finals are crazy. Off-season might even be crazier than this final has been. But one of the most the next 2 weeks of hockey news is going to be
awesome.
incredible. It's going to be the best.
Unless, it'll be slightly diminished if the Penguins win the cup, but
the expansion stuff
still
will make up for it a little bit.
yeah.
So, that's about it for hockey. We didn't go 50 minutes this time like we did last week on Flyers stuff.
Yeah, only 40.
We trimmed it down a bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
So let's get into some Sixers stuff. We're going to go over 2 more prospects today for the NBA draft. Jason Tatum and De'Aaron Fox. Before get into basically the notes that I made just from the film that I watched, who out of these 2 guys would you rather have?
So pretty much the only situation in which I see us getting either of these players is if we trade down, or if by some stretch of the imagination, Josh Jackson's draft stock plummets.
Yeah, this is assuming that for some reason these guys are the number, these guys are high on the Sixers draft for, these are right after Ball and Fultz.
Yeah. So out of these 2, I would probably draft De'Aaron Fox.
See, I would probably go him too, but I'm also just not high on either of these guys, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we would much rather. I genuinely hope that we could get Josh Jackson. I mean, if we can get Markelle Fultz, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But in the case that it's between Jackson and either of these 2 guys, I would take Jackson 10 out of 10 times.
Oh yeah, same. That's not even debatable. It's basically 3 people, and then it's a crapshoot from there almost. Basic things on Jason Tatum. He's a decent shooter. He's better with mid-range shots. He's very awkward defensively. He's got all the tools to be a really good defender, but he just kind of gets lost out there sometimes. When I watch film, he would rely on his reach a little bit too much. He would, I have a 6'11" wingspan, so I can just get over there and it'll be fine. But he will just lose guys sometimes. He gets lost in the pick and roll sometimes. There was a play where some guy just he wasn't even trying to drive to the basket. It was obviously that he was going to kick it out, but Tatum just got spun around like a top, and it was a wide open 3, and it was oh boy, that's not good.
Yeah. But yeah, just kind of talk a little bit about him. Some of his performances at Duke last year. He was an 85% free throw shooter, which is obviously good. He was a 45% field goal shooter, 45.2%. See, the thing with him is if it were the case that we ended up drafting Jason Tatum, he's the one player out of the top 5. So out of Fultz, Ball, Jackson, Tatum, and Fox, he's the one player that I think you can't assess the pick until you see who the Sixers sign in free agency, because there have been rumors about a JJ Redick signing or even a trade for a Klay Thompson type, if not pretty much Klay Thompson. So honestly, I think he, out of the top 5, is the only guy that, personally at least, I would wait on assessing and critiquing the hell out of the pick until I saw who they drafted, because like we can kind of see, he was a 34% 3-point shooter. So, and granted, he's a small forward, but still, 34% free throw or 3-point shooter, especially in the NBA these days with how much the game has changed. It's not the too hot of a stat. So, I think if he were to be drafted and then a JJ Redick were to be signed, or a Klay Thompson were to be acquired through a trade, or somebody of the sort,
then it's a bit better.
Then I think you could say, okay, Jason Tatum was a good pick. But if Jason Tatum was not, or if Jason Tatum was picked and then one of those guys or somebody of the same caliber wasn't added, either albeit through free agency or a trade, then I think you could question the pick a good amount.
Yeah, and the thing with Tatum is, he played the 4 basically only at Duke. He didn't I don't think he played on small forward that much. So a lot of his numbers are going to benefit from playing against smaller forwards in the NCAA. So he's going to have to go up against a lot stiffer competition when he reaches the NBA. And again, like, his wingspan makes up for the fact that he's only 6'8". So, like, I just don't know where, like, you would basically have to put him at small forward, and then you just kind of question.
He's too small.
Yeah.
Because 6'8", 205 is not.
It's not.
Well, the
power
thing with
forward.
that is, like, yeah, the thing with in the NBA with, like, the game these days, like, with just, like, when they spread the floor, like, there really is no such thing as a 4 or a 5 a lot of times.
Yeah.
So you could probably get away with him playing the 4 a good bit, but generally speaking, especially in the Sixers offense, because the Sixers offense, even though Embiid could shoot the 3 at a decent clip, so could Dario. We're
They
still
should
gonna
be positioned
play
down low in the post. Like, I don't want Jojo to leave. Like, he needs to stay.
Yeah, no, we're still going to play, a somewhat traditional offense with the current lineup, obviously. And then adding Tatum, you could definitely get away with him at the 4, or you could definitely get away with him at the 4 at points, I would think, if you were to alter that offense just a little bit. But he would probably suit our team best in the 3, which would be scary as hell, because then you have a 6'11" point guard, a 6'8" 3, a 6'11" 4, and a 7'1" 5. Like, I don't know many teams that have every player except for one over 6'8", and that's like without even knowing, because if we were to get Klay Thompson, I think Klay is like 6'7" or 6'6".
Let me check quick.
So it's like if we were to get Klay
6'7"
and whatnot, yeah, like if we were to get Klay, literally everybody on our offense, starting offense, would be 6'7" and above, assuming Tatum starts. And then obviously you have Covington off the bench. You have, T.J. McConnell. He'd provide a little bit of a shake-up.
Yeah.
He's 5'11" or 6 foot. So.
But yeah, like, it would basically be the West All-Stars versus the East All-Stars.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Tatum would have, like, I think if they did it where basically the first team offense, I guess you want to call it, where it would be like JoJo, Dario. Let's just assume they get Klay for the sake of argument. Klay and who would ever play the 2, and then Simmons, and then they would play the more traditional style offense, and then the second team would play the more pick and roll, like moving all around pieces, and Tatum would work out a little bit better there. So, I mean, you could get away with it, but it's going to be tough for him to really fit in anywhere, and he's going to have to improve 3-point shooting if he's going to be a small forward. Like, there's no way he can survive at a 34.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, then to the next guy, De'Aaron Fox. So he is out of Kentucky. He was a freshman. He is 6'4". So this is kind of one of the reasons that I would take him, because I would prefer him at the 2.
Yeah, same.
With Ben at the 1, because if you have a 6'4" guy at the 2 and a 6'11" point guard, you're gonna be able to spread the floor a lot, especially with obviously Embiid and Dario, plus whoever we get at the 3, because you never know. We have 4 second rounders, and for sure some guys who are expendable on the bench. So you never know. You could end up getting maybe a mid to late first rounder, for maybe a bench guy who's gonna be a decent minute guy. He's gonna be probably about a 25-minute person, and maybe 2 second rounders. You could probably end up getting a late first. And this draft it's weird, because this year's drafts all seem to be pretty deep, like across every league. And it's no different with the NBA. So you could get a probably your starting 3 mid to late first round. I don't see them doing that, because I personally would rather keep 4 second rounders and then kind of see if you can get a hidden gem in there.
Like Rashawn
but
Holmes.
still, yeah. But like a Fox is, I think that's why I would pick him over Tatum.
Yeah, I would too. Like, he would definitely play the 2. Like, I can't imagine putting him at point guard. Like, it would just make no sense with the plan that they seem to have for Ben. Man, like, he needs to improve on his shooting, and that's the only thing. Like, if he gets better from 3, then he's going to be lights out no matter what, because it's going to be so easy, because Ben's just going to drive all the time, and it's just going to open up so many wide open shots for De'Aaron. Like, he only shot 24, holy shit, he only shot 25% from 3 last year. And that goes to show, like, basically what his game is. Like, he's all about driving. His speed is freaking unbelievable. There was a clip that I watched where it couldn't have been more than 5 seconds that he went, like, coast to coast, and I was like, holy shit. Like,
yeah, he was fast, especially, like, in that game against UCLA. Like, he put on a show in that game.
And he can do that. It's just a matter of consistency and how much he can improve as just a spot-up shooter, so...
Yeah.
I don't know, but, yeah, like, between these 2 guys, I would definitely rather have Fox over anyone else. Or over Tatum. Like, I don't think that there's much question with a lot of Sixers fans just because of... There's a lot more versatility with Fox than there is with Tatum.
Yeah, pretty much. And plus who we have already, because
Yeah.
everybody knows it's not a secret that Brett Brown wants to see what Ben can do at the 1.
Yeah.
So,
And I think we all want to see that at this point.
Yeah, honestly, like, you could probably talk to fans of every team, and I guarantee you 99% of them will say, like, even if they hate the Sixers with all their heart for what they've been doing the last couple years, or if they just hate the Sixers in general, if they're like a Celtics fan or a Knicks fan, I guarantee you 99% of them will still say, just to see it, like,
Yeah.
yes, like, I want to see, like, what a 6'11" point guard could do in this league. Just, you know.
It's something new.
That would be a fun watch, especially with, like, a De'Aaron Fox or something like that, but you never know. It's all speculation at this point. You kind of gotta wait to see the draft, to see how the draft plays out, to start, plugging rotational guys into your head and whatnot. But
And then obviously free agency will be a whole different ball game. So
yeah.
But before we even reach the off season and the draft, the
finals.
the Cavs, they're coming back. They're gonna win in 7
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
hey, you're the one who said you had a theory about that. So what's up?
Yeah. Okay. So this is my theory, right? So last year, so obviously last year everybody knows 3-1. So the only difference is last year the Cavs won the first game back at in Cleveland, and then then the Dubs won the second game back in Cleveland. So they were up 3-1 going back to Oakland, same as this year, but except the Cavs won game 4. Right? So this is my theory, right? So the Cavs are practically, if you take it down to the bare bones, right? So they found out a way to slow down Steph Curry. And if you slow down Steph Curry, you slow down most of that offense, because obviously KD's he's gonna go off because he's KD. You really can't stop KD because you can't put a 3 on him because he's too tall. You can't put a big on him because he's too quick. You can't put a 4 on him because he's just going to blow right past him on defense. He's literally an impossible guard, so you're just going to let him do his thing. You're just going to put LeBron on him. You're going to tell LeBron, okay, go hard on him, every other possession. But if he drives past, you just hope to God he misses, or you get really good help, whatever. But if you break it down, the Cavs are theoretically and simplistically, they're one good game in Oakland away from being at home in a 3-2 with 2 straight wins against a team who has pretty much their entire starting lineup blew a 3-1 lead in the playoffs at some point last year. So that's fresh in their minds. And you're home on a 2-game win streak with your bench heating up with that fresh in their minds. Like, it's super possible. Like, people are completely not giving the Cavs a chance at this point. And, it's righteously so, because the Warriors are the Warriors. They're insane.
And the Cavs have played like shit so far.
Yeah, if KD doesn't get hurt, like they probably break that 73-9 record somehow. But he was out for 20-something games, so they didn't. But you got to figure that lead, that blown lead last year is super fresh in the Warriors' minds. And Kevin Durant he blew a 3-1 lead against the Warriors last year, so
Shit.
all these things are kind of fresh in their minds. So it's possible, but it's a stretch, I know. But I still Cavs in 7.
I hope so. I really hope so, because so far, like, worst NBA playoffs of all time, and there's no debating that at this point. Like, once the Warriors went up 3-0, it was like, really? That this is it? They're just gonna go undefeated? We're not gonna get to see anything? And then the Cavs win Game 4, and all of a sudden it's 3-1 again. So,
yeah,
like that. If they come back, it is single-handedly the greatest comeback in all of sports. Like, it tops Red Sox, Yankees, it tops Flyers, Bruins. As much as that pains me to say, it does top Flyers, Bruins. Well,
yeah.
Maybe not. But, man, they came back down 3-0 in Game 7. Like, they came back down 3-0 twice.
Uh-huh.
But it would be, it would be up there.
It would be something. Oh, without a doubt. And, I think by winning Game 4, just to talk about LeBron a little bit, I think by winning Game 4, LeBron pretty much saved the legacy thing, because personally, I wouldn't have judged him based off if he got swept, because
it's the Warriors.
Look at the Warriors. Yeah. Look at their team. Like, tell me you would not get swept. And I don't care, LeBron has Kyrie and K-Love. I don't care if you have Kyrie and K-Love and maybe even like Carmelo. You could still get swept by that team easily.
Let's just say this: Michael Jordan was going to get swept.
Yeah, honestly, like, I'm comfortable in saying that this Warriors team would probably sweep any team from the '80s, any team from the '90s.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I don't think it would be close. Like, it would be, I think, worse than what the Cavs got in the first 3 games.
Yeah, because I think that it might be a little bit lower scoring, but they couldn't keep up with this, like...
No.
Yeah, like, it would just be like a 100 to 65 game, just because the size advantages and the speed advantages and there's so many. Like...
Yeah.
I know, Rasheed Wallace made a comment that was like, the 04 Pistons could beat the current day Warriors because we actually played defense, which... like, I don't think it's so much that, like, they don't play defense, it's just no one plays defense in the NBA anymore. Because...
Yeah, like, honestly, I don't care if you play defense, like, you're gonna get towed. Like I said before, KD is literally an impossible guard. You cannot give me a single player in the history of the game that could effectively guard KD.
LeBron is the closest thing, and LeBron can't even do it, like, ridiculously well.
Pretty much. Yeah. The thing is, like, LeBron's just... you marvel at this, but LeBron's just... He's too small. He's too big to kind of, like, keep up with his nimbleness, even though LeBron's, like, the most nimble 6'8", 265-pound person on the planet by a mile and a half. And KD could, he could outmaneuver him a lot. He could shoot over the top of him. It's literally just an impossible guard. And, like, the 04 Pistons were, they were notorious for just, getting in your face. They did not let you do a thing. And I think the Warriors would blow them out. I think they would probably sweep them easily.
Well, yeah, because I don't think the 04 Pistons had the shooting to, don't have the shooting to contend at all. Like,
no.
Chauncey would maybe get his. Rip Hamilton.
He would probably be their only offense.
Yeah.
Chauncey.
Because Ben Wallace ain't
Rip
scoring.
Hamilton would be. Yeah, no, Ben Wallace is not scoring, and you got to figure Rip Hamilton. He's probably going to be guarded by either Draymond or KD. So.
Yeah. Have fun.
And those guys aren't
KD.
Yeah. Or Draymond for the matter.
Honestly.
Draymond is pretty much an 04 Piston the way he plays. So.
Honestly, it's a miracle if the Cavs win 2 games. Like, if they win Game 6. Oh wait, no, Game 5. Getting ahead of myself. Game 5. that might as well just count as a win for them, honestly, because it's amazing that they even won Game 4. So,
Yeah.
NBA Finals, freaking if the Cavs win Game 5, it's going to be insane because you know that it's probably going 7 at that point. So,
Yeah.
like I don't think there's a way that the Warriors win Game 6 especially if the Cavs like play like they did in Game 5 or Game 4. Like there's just no way that they are gonna.
Yeah, if the Cavs could go into Oakland and demoralize the Warriors on their home floor, and heat up their bench more than it was heated up in Game 4, somehow, because they shot 24 threes.
Yeah.
But if they could somehow get their bench to perform 2/3 as good, if not as good as they did in Game 4. And, Kyrie and Love and LeBron could play like they have been playing the last 2 games. LeBron the last 4, and same with K-Love. Kyrie has just started to come around, which is why these games have been, like, actually close the last 2. But if that all happens and they beat the Warriors in Oakland in Game 5, and then take them back to Cleveland and could beat them there, it's a toss-up, really. I mean, you still have to give the favorite to the Warriors because they have an insane lineup and an insane roster, but anything's possible when you have the best player on the planet with the hot bench and a hot Kyrie and literally this is probably the best you've seen and I've seen Kevin Love play in probably his career. Like he's been lights out this series. It's just Kyrie has just started to come around. So is Tristan Thompson. So
might even be the best that LeBron has played because he's ridiculous in this finals. Like,
LeBron is ridiculous. Like he has been insane. Like there's a stat that I saw, I believe yesterday. He's plus. They're plus.
I think
something with him on the floor and with him off the floor. They're like minus 30 something or minus 40 something. Like it's crazy the difference.
I think it was Game 3 that I heard this stat. Like they were a plus whatever with him on the court, and then in like the 2 minutes.
2 minutes. He was off the court for 2 minutes.
And they were minus 20 or something, and I'm like, how? Yeah. How are you that bad?
That's literally how they lost the game. Like in the 2 minute span that he came out of the game, in Game 3, the Warriors went on like an 11-0 run.
That's like that's like all of a sudden just like going to the bathroom and then you come back and like your entire room is just like flipped upside down and you're like, well, how the fuck did this happen?
Pretty much. Yeah, like pretty much like like that, or you could also make the analogy that like it's pretty much like going to the bathroom when like Aaron Nola's in the game, then coming back and like Andres Blanco's in the game and the Phillies are losing by like 27 or something.
That's a good segue.
Like, you could probably make that comparison.
That's a pretty damn good segue. Yeah. The Phillies suck. I hate this damn team. I really hate them. So yeah, the Phillies. Before I guess we get into Jared's, we have a siren, don't we?
We do. It's in mine.
So fitting that like before we start talking about prospects, we get sirens because that happened the last time.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. So the Phillies lost today.
I think it's going down.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, they lost for the 5th time in a row.
After they won on a 4-game win streak, so there went that.
Yeah.
We're already back in the negatives.
Pretty much, yeah. It's either ride or die for the Phillies at this point. Like they're either hot or they're as cold as you could be.
And it's mostly cold. So.
Yeah.
So they lost 6-5 today to the Cardinals. Nola gave up a 3-run home run, and that was basically it. Because the Phillies offense, of course, decided to wait until he was out of the game to score. Scored 1 in the 7th and then 2 in the 9th because, why score for your starting pitcher? Let's just wait till the bullpen gets in.
Yeah. Screw Aaron Nola.
Yeah.
Like, why would we give him something?
God damn it, the Cardinals aren't even good anymore. Like, they were such a bad team and they swept us. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're not the greatest of teams. I mean, they're still, they still have, Carpenter and Molina and whatnot, but
they're not
they're not the Cardinals of the early 2010s.
They're not the Cardinals that ruined every single Phillies fan's hopes and dreams in 2011.
Yeah.
But, Hey, enough of the shitty stuff. Let's get into your article on madeforphilly.org. Obviously, that link's going to be in the description. You covered how many of the
6.
first round options?
6. I was going to do 10, but then the article just kind of posted, and I was like, all right, whatever. So I was kind of whatever with it, but yeah, I went over 6. So I'll just kind of read the guys off, and then I'll kind of talk about them. So first, I talked about Alex Fado out of the University of Florida, he's a right-handed pitcher. Then I talked about Pavin Smith, first baseman out of Virginia. Then I talked about Shane Baz, who is a right-handed high school pitcher out of Texas, Concordia Lutheran High School in Texas.
That's an awesome name.
It is. And then Mackenzie Gore, he is a left-hander out of Whiteville High School in North Carolina. And then JB, listen to this last name, Bukowskis. Great last name. He's out of the UNC. He's a right-handed pitcher. And then finally I talked about Jordan Adell, who is an outfielder out of Ballard High School in Kentucky. So, first off, I will talk a little bit about Alex Fado. I'll talk a little bit about these guys because I'm not going to read everything I wrote because that would just be pointless. You could read it instead. But yeah, Alex Fado, right-handed pitcher out of the University of Florida. He's 6'5". The thing with him, though, is that there is a... So the reason I was going to cover 10 guys, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, the reason I was going to cover 10 guys is because pretty much beyond picks 3, which is... So right now, the kind of consensus top 3 is Hunter Green, who is a right-handed pitcher / shortstop, Kyle Wright, right-handed pitcher, and Brendan McKay, who is a left-handed pitcher / first baseman. Those 3 are pretty much the consensus top 3. Obviously, things can change. But those are kind of the consensus top 3. And I was going to do 10 because of how, random and how many different options. I've looked at a bunch of mock drafts. I've looked at probably about 10 mock drafts, and not one of them has even really been close to another. So I was going to do 10, but then it was posted with 6, so I was content with it. So I hope I'm right. But anyway, so yeah, Fado, he probably won't end up falling to us at 8. We have the Phillies have the number 8 pick, by the way, if you didn't know. But if you watch his windup, he reminds me of Justin Verlander a little bit. It's kind of like it's a funky delivery, which Verlander has. But the thing with him is he throws at like a 3/4 arm slot, so the release is way different than Verlander's. So he has 3 pitches: fastball, changeup, slider. You can go look what I wrote about those. Give me some views. But anyway, no, but so yeah, fastball, changeup, slider. Fastball it's pretty good. It's a plus pitch at the moment. But it can be a little bit not bad, but it could be a little bit inconsistent at times. But he does throw up to 97, so that's always a good thing. Slider, he has a wicked slider. It's probably the best slider in the draft. Maybe second only to JB Bukowskis, but yeah, they're pretty much those are pretty much his 2 best pitches. But then a little knock on him. Prior to this past college season, he had arthroscopic surgery on both of his knees. But they're pretty much everybody, doctors, scouts, teams, Fado, they're literally all saying it's not a worry at all. So you would hope so that it's not a worry, but look at Zach Eflin. So
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and then like I said, I'm not gonna read everything, so you could kind of go take a look if you'd like. Next up, Pavin Smith. He is a first baseman out of the University of Virginia. So he pretty much has the most polished swing by a good mile in this draft. And by the way, just as a little bit of side note, there are videos in this article, so you could see. You don't have to go looking for them. But yeah, his swing is insanely polished, and a crazy thing about him is he had a .427 on base percentage this past season to go along with a 342 average. But the thing with him is he walked 38 times and struck out only 12.
Holy shit! What?
Yeah, he's insane. Like, he has, for a first baseman only prospect, with as good of a swing that he has, and for as good of plate discipline as he has, it's pretty rare. So the only reason that he fell in 2014 to the 34th round was because he had a really, really, really strong commitment to the UVA. And like I said, he's a first base only prospect, but he has the most mechanically sound swing. So, and you pretty much every report that you read either says a minor tweak for Smith's swing or nothing at all. So it's a really good swing, and he's a really good player. The only thing about him is that he is a first base only prospect, and he's coming out of college. So that doesn't usually sit well with teams, for good reason, because of the lack of versatility that he could bring in the field. If he was a first base / outfielder prospect, then sure. But the thing with him is his swing is so well polished that you could probably fast track him through the minors, and he could probably be on an MLB roster within, I'd say probably by 2019, maybe 2020 at the latest. So
like a Scott Kingery situation almost.
Yeah, like, genuinely speaking, yeah, he could fast track the minors pretty simply. He could probably start out in high A like Scott Kingery did. Possibly even skip to Double A to start. And if he doesn't skip to Double A to start, he could possibly skip Double A entirely and start in Triple A maybe in 2019 or so. If he isn't already in Triple A by 2018 and makes an MLB roster the next season. So he's a really solid prospect all around. It's just the fact that he's a first base only prospect that kind of diminishes his stock. And plus, first base prospects haven't always, had the best track record.
Yeah.
In drafts.
It's a little bit of a risky situation with those guys.
Yeah, And speaking of risky situations, Shane Baz, this guy, wow. So this is the guy that I'm going to talk about the most right now. I'm pretty much going to read everything I wrote because he is the most interesting prospect in this draft, to me at least. Maybe slightly behind JB Bukauskas, but I'd put Shane Baz 1A, 1B with Bukauskas for me. So he's 6'3", he's in high school, or probably just finished up high school, and he's committed to TCU, but really nobody knows his intentions, so that might diminish his stock a little bit because when players have like really strong college commitments, then they generally fall. Like I mentioned with Pavin Smith, he fell to the 34th round in 2014 to the Rockies because of his insanely strong commitment to Virginia. It's the same story with Baz. It would be the same story with Baz, except for the fact that not many people know his intentions, so they don't know that if they drafted him, that he would for sure sign. But I would, if any person in their right mind, if they got drafted in the first, 10 picks as an 18-year-old, maybe, I don't know, he might be 19, and they got, handed millions of dollars to sign, I think he would take it. So, pretty much with Baz, to start out with the negative, his control is, it's not the best, but the ceiling on him is pretty high. So his command is good, so is his body control, and he has a pretty funky windup, but he repeats it well somehow. I have no idea how. You'll see in the video. There's 2 videos on him because of how weird his kind of mechanics are and whatnot.
But that is very strange.
It's a weird windup, but somehow he repeats it. So he is a rarity. He's an extreme rarity. So he has a 5-pitch mix coming out of high school. So he throws a 4-seamer, a slider, a cutter, a curve, and a change. So Yeah,
Damn.
that's a rarity,
Damn.
especially coming out of high school. So, the four-seamer, it only sits in the low 90s, but it's probably one of like the straighter four seams you'll see. But that is really his only kind of slightly above average pitch. He doesn't even have an above average pitch. It's only slightly above average when it grades out on a scale for like scouting. But it clocks. He clocked as high as 98, even though he only sits in the low 90s most of the time. But yeah, so his slider and cutter they're literally the exact same pitch. That's why people are always like, oh well, no, he doesn't have a 5-pitch mix. It's a 4-pitch mix. It's technically a 5. The only difference between his slider and his cutter is that he grips the slider a little bit harder, and which makes it a little bit slower. Like it's literally a 3 or 4 mile an hour difference, pretty much. The cutter's in the upper 80s, sliders in the mid to low 80s. So pretty much those two pitches are average. But the thing with Baz and why I'm so intrigued by him is that if he could get 3 of his 5 pitches to be above average pitches and take his 2 worst pitches, which currently are his curveball and changeup, which again isn't rare because he is a high school pitcher. If he could get 3, maybe 4 of those pitches to be above average, then he could easily have number 2 starter potential, maybe even top of the rotation potential. But the thing is, if he doesn't do that, then he's pretty much, if he only gets maybe 1 or 2 of his pitches to above average consistently and everything else stays at average to slightly below average, then he's probably going to end up being a washout or get into the bullpen. So that's pretty much it for Baz. Like I said, the video's there. And there are some things that I didn't talk about, so you can go talk a little bit about, and do your own research. By the way, what I say isn't completely. It's not that what I'm saying isn't completely true, because everything that I'm saying here is pretty much what all the scouts are saying. I do put a little bit of opinion in, but not much. But anyway, so up next, Mackenzie Gore. He is a high schooler, left-handed pitcher. He's pretty much either the best or the second best left-handed pitcher in this draft, only behind Brendan McKay, he's a college arm, while Gore is a high school arm. So he's 6'2". When you see the video of him, Kyle, I'd like you to click on the video if you haven't seen it already. Watch his leg kick and then watch his stride. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
He literally could knee himself in the face quite easily on the mound.
That's like a mix of Cole Hamels, but like it's
higher.
Yeah. That is
like it's crazy.
How does he? That is like, dude, if your baseball career doesn't work out, you could probably be a gymnast and you probably could go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
God
so
damn.
So once you see the video on that, you'll understand why the main discrepancy against him is his delivery. So when he's in the minor leagues, because he's looking at him, he's not the biggest of guys. He's a semi slim looking guy, so relatively. So he's gonna have to put on some good weight in the minor leagues while he's developing. Pretty much, perhaps up to 30 pounds, realistically. So, obviously, when you put on that much weight in muscle, there's going to be questions as to whether or not you could keep your original mechanics. But pretty much other than that, he's a solid pitcher. He has 4 pitches, fastball, slider, curve, change. They're all pretty solid pitches, but the thing with him is his another kind of discrepancy against him, it's really minor, is that his pitches are above average. All 4 of his pitches are above average at the high school level. His command for his age is insanely good, which is rare. It'll make easier to kind of get his pitches up to par with college kids and get him ready for pro ball. But at the high school level, his pitches are above average, but realistically, his fastball is pretty much his only above average pitch at the pro level. Everything else is average-ish. But yeah, that leg kick is something, isn't it?
That is, like, it's, oh my god, it's basically a replica of Hamill's, but, like, again, it's just higher. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have, like, the same, like, fluid motion that Cole does. Like, it's just leg kick, pitch. It's, man, that is weird.
Yeah. So yeah, to move on now from Gore to JB Bukowskis, who is pretty much the riskiest player in this draft by a good bit, and he has the biggest difference between potential ceiling and potential floor. So all three of his pitches, his two primary pitches, his fastball and his slider, are very good pitches. His fastball, I have personally not seen a single scouting report that didn't have his fastball graded at a 70, which is pretty much the highest grade you could have, or one of the highest grades you could have on some scouting reports, depending on who does it and what their grading material and mechanism is. But pretty much every scouting report that I've seen has his fastball 70 graded.
Yeah, and just if you're not familiar with like some baseball scouting reports, it's like a 20 to 80 scale. So like 70 is not like a C; it's like basically a B plus or an A.
Yeah, and then some scouts they do like 20 to 70. It really just depends on the scout and like how they do it. Because some will take players and they'll say, okay, well, his build and for his mechanics and whatnot, he could be a 70 plus player, and then they could give him a 70. So that would basically mean a 70 out of like a 75 or so. But they won't do 75 just because it's easier with whole numbers. But yeah, so his fastball, he could hit up to 96 with it. It generally doesn't hit that all the time. It usually will sit 92 to 95 ish, more often so 93, 94. But he can hit up to 96, and it has some really good sinking movement. So that's like a plus pitch for him. His slider is also a plus pitch. It pretty much grades out 60, 65, usually 60. So it's a pretty good pitch. But he could easily make that into a plus pitch with pro instruction. It wouldn't be too hard. Only thing with him is his changeup. It's pretty much been a work in progress. People, when he came out of high school, people were pretty much like, oh, when he gets to college, he could figure it out. He really hasn't, which is the kind of thing with him. So that's pretty much with his pitches. Then also his mechanics. His mechanics aren't the greatest. His control is good. The thing with him is that he doesn't really repeat his delivery, and that is kind of a little bit of a red flag for a pitcher, especially when you have control issues. So that's kind of a domino effect there. But yeah, like I said earlier, he's pretty much the highest drop in potential floor and ceiling. His ceiling is ace, and his floor is washout or maybe a bullpen guy, like a decent bullpen guy. So it's a risk with Bukowskis, but if everything plans out, if everything goes out with him, he's gonna be wicked. So then the last guy, Jordan Adele. This kid is a tank. He's 6'3". He is out of Ballard High School in Kentucky. He is committed to the University of Louisville. So pretty much same as some other guys such as Baz. It just depends on how committed he's going to school. So if you look at Adele, everything basically, if you look at everything but his hit tool, if you look at all of his grades besides his hit tool, you would look at him and say, why is he not like lock top 3? that is pretty much because of his hit tool. So he grades out as a 70 speed, 60 raw power, 70 arm, and 60 plus defense, which are insane numbers. But his hit tool is a little bit lagging. So when you watch him during BP, his swing is beautiful. It's Pavin Smith level gorgeous, pretty much. But then he gets into the game, and he pretty much does everything that you don't want to see a young kid doing in a game. He's moving his hands. Because of this, the loft decreases. Can't tap into his raw power. Pretty much like Bukowski's domino effect. And that will diminish a player's stock pretty heavily. That's why he dropped. That's why he's dropped in a lot of mock drafts, because during showcases he's kind of shown that he doesn't have the same swing in games as he does in batting practice. But if he could take the batting practice swing into games, and when he does take the batting practice swing into games, he rockets balls. Like, it's fun to watch. So Adele, definitely an interesting guy, and I think that's not a hard fix, because he has the swing. It's just you need to translate it into a game. So I don't think it'd be that hard of a fix for, a minor league developmental coach and whatnot. So
Yeah.
personally, I'd take the risk on picking him. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You can go read the rest. You can go watch the videos. The videos help a ton.
Yeah, definitely.
Those are the best way, in my opinion, to watch. But
Yeah, like for the NHL and some of the players there, like I watch the video first, and then I'll look at the scouting report, see what it says, and to me, just watching film of the player, no matter what sport it is, just makes a lot more sense than reading whatever someone says, because we mentioned this kind of a little bit earlier, like it's all subjective kind of at some point, like there's personal opinions on like how you kind of want your players to play and whatever, so it's better just to watch the film yourself and form your own opinions.
yeah, pretty much. It's always the best way to do your own scouting. As we all know, Philly fans love to scout players, whether it be for the good or for the bad. They love to do it, so do it yourself.
Exactly. So, other than that, that's pretty much it for Jared's article. Again, that'll be in the description. I will probably link the video, or play the videos in the YouTube video, assuming that Movie Maker doesn't make me want to rip my brains out like it did with the last episode.
Yeah.
It's such a pain in the ass if you don't know the struggle of putting like videos into Movie Maker. Don't do it. Don't torture yourself.
Yeah, don't.
So the Phillies suck. Like we mentioned, they lost 5 straight now. Swept by the Cardinals. It's basically just whatever at this point. At least Odubel's doing really well. Tojo's been doing pretty damn well. His hit streak is still alive.
Yeah, Odubel's on a 10-game hit streak, and Tommy Joseph's on a 7-game hit streak.
So, if you're going to watch a Phillies game, just basically watch those 2 guys at bats, and then don't watch the rest. Because that's about the only excitement you're going to get out of a Phillies game at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
A lot of moves have been made, though, recently.
It's been a carousel.
I think the best one out of this list, though, is probably Sixto being assigned to High A, which it was...
No, he's in Lakewood still.
Oh, wait. Oh, right.
Well, see,
right.
The thing with him is that he had a little bit, combined with an innings limit for a small period, and I believe he had like a little bit of a shoulder problem. It wasn't anything like major. They just didn't want to take a chance, so they sent him to Williamsport, whose season doesn't start for another about 2 weeks. Or maybe a week and a half. I think it starts like right before or after the draft. It starts after the draft, because the draft's tomorrow. I'm an idiot. But yeah, so they didn't want to take chances, so they sent him to Williamsport so he wouldn't be doing anything. But now he's fine again, so he came back today for Lakewood, and I believe he pitched really well. I think he went 5 1/3, if I'm not mistaken, from what I read earlier. I'll look at it right now. As a matter of fact, let's see. He pitched. Yeah, 5 innings, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts. So, and he threw 72 pitches.
So what we're saying is Sixto Sanchez is really good.
Yeah, just wait a few years, and when you're pissed off, now, obviously now you're probably pissed off that we don't have an ace, but in a few years, you'll be licking your chops with Sixto Sanchez.
You'll be buying Sixto Sanchez jerseys like nothing.
Oh yeah,
like it will be the easiest purchase you've ever made in your entire life.
Yeah, pretty much. It's gonna be fun watching him progress through the minors, because honestly, I think right now he could probably hold his own in Clearwater at this point.
Oh,
He's
easily.
18 years old. He hasn't turned 19, I think, for another month or two. So yeah,
holy shit.
He's gonna be fun to watch.
He was born on my birthday.
Really.
He's now my favorite player. Yep.
All right,
Easily.
there you have it.
That's freaking
New
awesome.
favorite Philly. Yeah. But just some of the bigger moves. Joely Rodriguez was DFA'd on the 8th. Roman Quinn, he went to the 7-day DL with was it oblique?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah,
it is.
so he's done. Cesar, I believe the same oblique. He's on the 10-day DL, retroactive. I believe it was to the 8th, but he got placed on the deal on the 11th. And then Joaquin Benoit was the corresponding move. He was activated from the 10-day disabled list. I wrote that wrong right here, but I'll also change it now since nobody saw that. Okay, and then Brock Stassi, he has found his home back in AAA. He was in Reading for I think 2 or 3 games just to get some at bats. That, and there was no room on the AAA roster, but. Court Sandberg, he is now in High A Clearwater again. Casey Fien, he is now a Philly from AAA. Taylor Featherston was traded to the Rays, which is the move that made everybody say, holy shit, Scott Kingery's coming up. But that hasn't happened yet. Instead of Scott Kingery, we got the very exciting Colton Murray and Jacob Wakes back up to Lehigh Valley, as we all wanted. Everybody wanted that move.
And everyone who's watching this is like, who? Well,
honestly, I never heard of Jacob Wakes back.
Me neither.
Before a few weeks ago. I heard about him a few weeks ago because he was pitching well in Clearwater, and I was kind of debating on whether to put him in the prospect highlight thing, but nope.
I'm pretty sure we've all kind of heard of Colton Murray just because he's a spring training dude who's always been there.
Yeah,
but,
plus he pitched for the Phillies last year.
Oh yeah, that's right. He had a few games. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he appeared in 15 games last year or something.
So we at least know him a little bit, but ways back I had no idea he even existed.
Yeah.
As is basically the case with almost all of our low A prospects who aren't the major guys like Sixto obviously and some other guys. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much other than those guys and Brito and whatnot.
Yeah. Other than that, not too much. Nick Pivetta got called back up. He made a start in the that was the first game of the Cardinal series or the second game?
The second.
Yeah, because he pitched.
Because Lively started, I think, in the first.
Yeah, it was. This
Speaking of Ben Lively, 2 starts with 7 innings.
Freaking Ben Lively, man. Yeah. Come out of nowhere to be the Phillies' best pitcher.
At this point,
yeah. At this point, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, Nola's not been bad. It's just we don't score runs for him.
When Nola doesn't have a leash the length of a caterpillar, he's a good pitcher. But when he has a leash that small, he's not the greatest.
Which is the case for most pitchers. That's just how it is. But the pitching situation is a mess. I don't know how Bob McClure still has a job.
I really don't either. It's horrendous. It's so bad.
He obviously isn't doing anything.
Yeah, I was on team wait it out and see what happens back in the beginning of May when the Phillies started to flounder. But now it's been a month and a little bit more, and Aaron Nola still is inconsistent a little bit. Eichhoff hasn't gotten better. Pavetta got worse somehow over the course of his starts, kind of. The only one that's really, doing anything is Lively, and plus Bob McClure was the one that messed with Jake Thompson's mechanics. Now he's pitching pretty poorly in AAA. Ricardo Pinto came up for, I think, a game. He pitched poorly.
Yeah, that was the stupidest decision I've ever seen. That was awful.
But, some of these guys... The only reason he was up was really just to save a roster spot for a few days before Lively came up, but
why do they have to put him in the game? He was basically told to just go eat, 5 innings, and it's just like, Coach, I just got here this morning. I literally just got called up.
Yeah, the way that the Phillies have... Specifically Bob McClure, the way that he's kind of handled it, how he's talking and how he's, quote-unquote coaching his pitchers, it's just been horrendous. It really has. And if it doesn't start picking up within the next 2 weeks, I'm just kind of done with him. I'm pretty much done with him now, and but I'm just I could kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, but then again, there's that might be a mirror and it might be behind me. So.
And also the Vince Velasquez comments from however long ago is still
3 weeks ago. That's the thing that kind of started to make me turn. So.
Yeah. Once that happened, I think we were all just kind of like, maybe it's not really our pitchers, it's just the fact that Bob McClure is an idiot. So.
Yeah, but the thing is, it'll be a tough or it'll be tough to kind of find a replacement immediately, and you don't really want to chuck a Roy Halladay in there yet.
Yeah. I could see maybe bringing him in now as just like a minor position somewhere, and then just kind of grooming him to be the pitching coach next year. I think they do that soon. They hire a coach, maybe not necessarily a doc, but someone who you kind of get the idea that, okay, they're going to be replacing McClure at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, other than that, there's not too many other moves. We already talked about Roman Quinn, Stassi, Rodriguez. So Odubel, again, as we said earlier, has that 10-game hitting streak. His numbers in June, 438 average, 455 on-base percentage, and a 938... Wait. So what is this last
938 slug.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 938 slug, but then his OPS is a 1.392,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's attributed to the 10 doubles that he's had. He has literally turned into O-double and not O-double. He needs to get his name changed.
Yeah, he should probably go to the court system and get that on pronto.
Man, if he could have just kept this up, could have had this kind of streak at the start of the season, we probably would be a lot more optimistic about the team right now.
Yeah, probably.
But other than that, I think that's about it for the Phillies. Not too much is going on right now. The team's just not good. They have a home-and-home series with the Red Sox coming up. Then they play Arizona, St. Louis again, which of course we play St. Louis again. Arizona, Seattle, and then a Mets series finishes out June and starts July. So, of course, Phillies have a tough schedule coming up because every single game is a tough schedule for them.
Yeah. The strength of schedule at the beginning of the year was a little bit tough, but hopefully they could turn it around starting now.
Yeah,
but
now would be a pretty good time. But.
Yeah.
So that pretty much rounds up for basically all of our talking points today. It's got some Flyers things. It is currently scoreless right now in the Game 6 of the finals, so hopefully Nashville...
just started the second period.
Yeah. So hopefully Nashville can clutch it out. Force Game 7. Man, if they win on Pittsburgh's home ice, that's going to be the greatest thing I've ever watched in my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Flyers coming back down 3-0 is probably the greatest thing, but it's up there.
That'll be a close second. Oh, ooh, they almost just scored, but they did not.
I'm just having it on my I'm just seeing like on the NHL apps. I'm not watching. I'm like, I don't.
Oh. What happened? What just happened?
Live comm from Jared.
Okay, so apparently they scored, but they waved it off. Maybe I don't know what happened.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Who, the Predator scored?
Yeah, but they waved it off. Maybe I'm not too sure what happened.
Of course they waved it off.
It seems as though the referees are going to convene and maybe review it, but
all right then. Well, if it was Piquet Subban, I'm sure they're going to.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here. So
yeah,
Philip Forsberg. Okay, it's one of those BS like intent to call the whistle earlier, and they thought.
Oh
he had
my
control.
fucking god. Okay, you know what? I had something else for my hot take, but I'm just going to use that because that's annoyed me for so long. That rule is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Screw off with your intent. Intent does not matter.
Okay, hang on. Let's see if it's gonna be. Okay, so they called it a no goal.
Fuck off, NHL.
Okay, so basically what happened was, I think it was Philip Forsberg, brought the puck down the left side, and shot it. Matt Murray had the save, but never. It looked like he had control, but then lost it. There was no rebound. He didn't give up control of the puck until the puck kind of trickled out of him, and then who was that? I couldn't even tell. I can't even tell. They're not showing anything. Who was it? I can't even tell. Sissons. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, Colton Sissons. Basically.
Yeah, him. He was in front of the crease and just put it in the easiest goal he'll ever have in his career, and they waved it off because they blew the whistle thinking that Murray had control of the puck.
So they basically blew the whistle early, so was the whistle blown? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah, the whistle blown. The whistle was blown.
So it was a quick whistle, and they just allowed it because of that.
Yeah.
So Murray never had the puck, and okay, God,
yeah.
Fucking love it. And you know Penguins fans are gonna be like, well, we've had things happen to us all year.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah,
Fucking
that's
little.
probably gonna be it.
All right. Yeah. That's my hot take. Fuck the NHL referees because it's been so bad this year. That's unbelievable.
It was pretty bad.
Fuck off. Okay. Well, that was a pretty quick-ass hot take because fuck the NHL for being the absolute dumbest league in all of sports. How is the offsides thing reviewable, but that isn't reviewable?
Who knows?
Like, why is the officials' whistle the fucking end-all be-all? That's so stupid. I hate that.
Yeah, that's. Oh man, I can't wait until Pittsburgh wins this game by a goal, and that is the thing. That's what's gonna kill them.
They're gonna lose by a goal. Yep, you know it. Fuck off. Penguins are gonna win the cup, and everything's gonna suck. Oh, just give me the off season. Just give me the expansion draft. At this point, I think that's all I care about.
Just give us Patrick or Heischer.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that they take anyone else, and I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm trying to block out any thoughts of them taking anyone else because I'm just terrified at the.
Yeah.
Like, there are other good players, but just shh.
Yeah.
Take Patrick or Heischer, whichever one is there, and we can all just relax, and we can just get ready for the season.
Yep.
Oh, God. So, basically, I hope Nashville fans just start throwing catfish, like, out their asses, and they have to just halt the game just because, like, what does it matter anymore? Oh, we have to forfeit the game? We might as well forfeit so you can't rig it against us anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, that about wraps up the 19th episode of the Drive Podcast. Fuck the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Interesting ending.
Yeah, very interesting ending. Fuck NHL referees. Fuck Pittsburgh. Fuck Sidney Crosby. And We will see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you guys next week.
Thank you for listening.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.